There we
Markian,
go.
welcome to the cave. Thank you for joining me today.
Thanks for having me. Thanks for having me.
Exciting times, my friend. I've been looking forward to this chat, man. You got a busy weekend coming up. Two movies, one on Hallmark, one on E. Why Can't My Life Be Rom-Com, and Welcome to Valentine. How does it feel, man, having two big projects coming into you this weekend?
Yeah, it's busy. A lot of promo happening, but it feels good. I mean, it's nice to when you have these opportunities with projects to come out to like talk about them, and I kind of can kill two birds with one stone with
Right.
uh, with this weekend. So yeah, it wasn't planned this way, and actually, I had two other Hallmark movies come out in for the Christmas season, and those ended up being a Saturday Sunday too. So I keep saying that I think the networks are all in conspiracy at this point with me, and just like they tell you, like Markian gets one weekend, and then we get a break for him for a couple months. So this is my weekend coming up.
There you go. And we're gonna jump a little bit more on those projects in a few minutes, but I was doing some research on you, and I saw your dad wanted you to play soccer. I'm a big soccer fan. That's why I'm saying this. I saw that you soccer, but instead you decided to go into the acting world.
Yes. To my dad's disappointment, though he'll never admit it. I think when I kind of made the choice to quit soccer, I think he was pretty choked. But yeah, basically, I was super into soccer. Was training for the national team here in Canada. This is a long time ago when I was about 14, 15 years old. Then I just had to come to like a crossroads. I think as any athlete or performer or actor, somebody in the arts has to make is like you can't do both. So I had to make a choice at that point, and I chose the more steady, consistent career. So here we are.
Right. What made you get into it? How did you like fall in love with acting? Was it something you were watching or like somebody's work?
Yeah, I mean the honest answer to that is that I was doing acting classes as a kid,
Okay.
and parents kind of put me in there because I was, full of energy. So they wanted to put this energy somewhere, and that came through doing theater classes at Manitoba Theater for Young People in Winnipeg, where I'm from. Then eventually that kind of led me to getting my first theater gig, and so like I come from theater, and that's really where I started. Where a
Okay.
lot of people, do start, and got my first professional gig at 14, and was like, "Holy crap! I can make money doing this."
Mm,
And it was a bit of a revelation for me at 14 years old. So then, kind of from there, I decided to pursue acting in that regard. But I've always loved movies, and I don't think it was until I started acting in film and television, kind of in my early 20s, like when I started consistently working, that I didn't realize the impact those movies had on me as a kid.
right.
So I think the influence was always there of like I was obsessed with the Indiana Jones movies, with Star Wars, and I was really invested into like the Mummy franchise with Brendan Fraser. Like I loved those Hollywood blockbusters so much that I think I watched the Mummy 19 times in a row.
Wow.
And so now that I think back on it, I think that decision to be an actor and that's what I wanted to do came a lot earlier. But that is the official story, kind of with the growing up.
That's awesome. What do you enjoy more, theater or like TV film? Or do you like to
Um,
dive into both back and forth?
um, I like to dive both back and forth, but it's a tough thing to do back and forth because theater, if you decide to do a theater contract, is going to take you away sometimes for 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 months.
Mm,
And then it kind of takes you away from the film and television availability game. So I haven't done theater for a long time, since 2018 was the last play I did, but they're super different, and I think they both offer different opportunities. I think with TV and film, it's more fun because you get to do kind of like, so say like sci-fi stuff or kind of that bigger budget work is a lot of fun to do, which you just don't will never get in theater. But in terms of theater, I like it a lot because I would say that's more of an actor's medium. So you get more opportunity to act because in one night go on a journey from start to finish for 2 hours, and it's just like super gratifying to kind of like go nonstop. It's like a green light until you have to finish. And with film and TV, there's a lot of stop start, right? So
right.
it's much more kind of, I would say, not as gratifying as an actor.
Mm.
It's gratifying once you see the entire movie come together, but in the moment, I would say theater's kind of more definitely something I more enjoy. Yeah.
Now, what's your ultimate goal? Because you've done theater, you've done TV, film, rom-coms. Like, well, what's your ultimate goal? What are you hoping you can accomplish someday?
Wow. I'm pitching, and I can't talk much about it, but we're almost in the final stages of following through with a project that I've been developing for 2 years as a director.
Okay.
So that's kind of, I'd say, my like end goal in all this is I'm starting, and hopefully in the next year I can come back on this podcast and talk about the feature film that I've hopefully directed that's going to come out. So, my life has been a culmination of I've done theater acting, I've done film and TV. I used to produce theater. I've done classes for acting in terms of being a teacher and coach. And so it's kind of like the directing thing is taking all those skills and then you kind of put it in one project, right? So I think that's really my goal. And I really do want to start getting into that world. So that's hopefully on the horizon very soon for me.
That's awesome. How about a role? Is there a certain role that you kind of hope you get your hands on?
I mean, I think I said it with The Mummy was like 19 times. I was obsessed. I love seeing Brendan Fraser's kind of like renaissance right now. I'm so happy for him. And he was my guy. Like I think any kid growing up had their guy, right? Like with Harrison Ford, Tom Cruise, Brad Pitt, and Brendan Fraser was mine. With George of the Jungle with him. And so he's kind of like, when I think about action star, like a Hollywood star, that's the kind of like role, and that kind of like action comedy is something that I've always dreamed of doing. So that would be my dream role, is like some kind of action comedy in the vein of The Mummy. Like Indiana Jones has a lot of that kind of thing. So I guess it's a pretty kind of like generic answer to give of like, I want to be an action star, but those movies are just so much fun. And to be part of like a project where it's just so enjoyable for people to watch, that it allows somebody, so say it like a kid, to watch it almost 20 times in a row. That's something special to me that I'd love to be a part of. Yeah.
Nice. So yeah, let's jump down to your two projects that are coming up. First of all, like, how did you fall into like the whole Hallmark, working with them every few months and
Yeah, I mean, I've had a good year of rom-coms. Like this last year has really been defined by that genre for me. I think I've just found kind of my groove in terms of that genre and these kind of movies. And like I'm based in Vancouver right now, and Hallmark is like the Vancouver scene's kind of bread and butter. They film, I think, about 40 of them a year here. So yeah, it's a crazy amount of work. It's just constant. So when you kind of come up through the system as an actor in Vancouver, Hallmark it's such a great place to start because they hire local a lot of the time. And so I've just kind of, I think, been building my relationship with them since my first Hallmark, I think, was in 2016. So, once, like any studio or any network, it's just you build up your rapport with them, and then they give you more and more opportunities. And this year they've been really, really kind to me to kind of open up the door with larger roles and larger projects. And then with E, actually, similar thing of like that. I think they just knew me from that rom-com space in the Hallmark world. And then they're just starting to create their own content for the first time. So the E Network is, as far as I know, this is kind of their first shot at original programming and their original movies. And they decided to come up to Vancouver here, and I was just kind of cast. I did audition for that one, and just super, super lucky to kind of be part of this new venture for E.
So that's February 19th. Why Can't My Life Be a Rom-Com? Tell us a little about that. Now, we see you as Rich in it.
Yes.
Tell us a little about what the film's about.
So yeah, it's kind of like, it asks that question, right? The title, Why Can't My Life Be a Rom-Com? It's a lot of John Hughes inspired, pop culture inspired, I would say, in terms of its with the script, and it's basically about these two women who are fed up with kind of the dating scene in New York. They decide to go to the Hamptons because they want to marry rich. They get this book called How to Marry Rich, which is also my name of the character, which is funny. And they go to the Hamptons for the summer to find husbands, and they try to basically create their lives to be romantic comedies from the 80s. And that's their goal. And I come in as one of the main suitors. So it's one of those movies where you get to number one, it's fun, it's sexy, it's yeah, like I say, relevant, but at the same time, it also becomes one of those movies of who's she going to choose is kind of the lies of the main character. So it's a lot of fun, and it'll hopefully keep viewers guessing to the end. Is my hope.
What did you love about this character, Rich?
You know what I actually loved about it was he's obviously very wealthy. His name's Rich. He's a doctor. I drive a Bentley. I think that comes with a lot of preconceptions. So when somebody sees that kind of person, look, in media, it's usually a douchebag. And Rich, the director, Rich knew he was our director. My character's name was Rich. We were talking about it, and that's not where we wanted to go with this character. So even though this is a privileged white dude, that a lot of people can kind of, you know, boil it down to that or say that about him, we wanted to bring a lot of heart and a lot of soul and a lot of and just make him a good guy. So honestly, like that was a nice thing for me because I've played those kinds of characters before. And this was like, yes, he's got all these elements of what you could, you know, say stereotypical in that kind of realm, but we went the opposite way. So to play like just someone like me, I think like close to myself and who's empathetic and has his faults and his dreams and ambitions and you know, shortcomings. I think it's just like it was really gratifying to play that kind of guy. Yeah.
So it feels like he kind of gave you like a little bit of freedom how to run with his character.
He did. Yeah. Rich, our director, was he's incredible and just like such a kind person. And I think like kindness in this industry, especially when you got a leader as a director, goes a really long way, where I as an actor felt super comfortable. And when you feel comfortable, you do better work. And then you can start taking liberties and the collaboration process becomes much better. And that's definitely what this movie was. And I'm so happy that I can say that in like these interviews about this project.
Yeah, I've had guests that come on also. That's the one thing they enjoy is like when they get a little more freedom, or like at least they can bounce ideas back and forth with the creator or director about how they could play a certain character.
Yeah, I mean that's when it's fun, right? That's like when you feel as an actor like like you're doing something, because I've definitely done those projects before where it's just like they want this, they like there's not much budget, the director really is specific, doesn't give you a lot of leeway, and you feel more like you're at work and it's a job and you're there to fulfill this person's vision. But when you can be part of that vision and maybe the director doesn't have all the answers and you can start filling in those answers for them, that's when like collaboration, that's when it's fun. So, and that was on both of them with Why Can't My Life Be a Rom-Com and Welcome to Valentine. The director Stefan Brogren on that one was the exact same as Rich. Like I was kind of lucked out these two projects back to back where directors were just like, do whatever you want and I'll tell you if I don't like it.
That's awesome.
Yeah.
So Welcome to Valentine, that's going to be on Hallmark. Little description of that movie. What's that about?
Yeah, that one is, I would describe it as a road trip comedy, kind of like When Harry Met Sally with a little like Midwestern flair. My character George, and then there's the character Olivia, go on a road trip from New York, and I'm supposed to be driving to Los Angeles, and I'm going to drop her off in the hometown of her hometown of Valentine, Nebraska, which is a real place, by the way. And my car breaks down. And I think from there, everybody else can fill in what's going to happen once my car breaks down and I get stuck in small town America. Yeah.
Was that where was that filmed? Was that filmed in Vancouver?
No, that one was filmed in Ottawa, Ontario, and Almont, Ontario. So Ottawa was our kind of more downtowny scenes and interiors, and then all of the small town stuff is Almont, Ontario.
So I mentioned, like, you know, you have busy weekend coming up with these two. Now, are you taking a little break, or are you going to keep on grinding? You got anything else coming up the next few weeks, months?
It's kind of back to the grind. Like I said, the project I mentioned with the directing is kind of like I think is going to be my next focus right away. If you know, all knock on wood, you know, if you ever, we can chat about like what the pitch process and like what that's all about to get a movie made is quite the undertaking. So it's all knocking on wood in terms of that. So that might be coming up on the horizon very quickly for me. I make a brief appearance on the show, The Night Agent on Netflix, coming out later this spring. And then I'm on a really great episode on a show called Family Law, which is just coming to the CW.
Okay,
Yeah. So that's all coming out in the next couple months, and it's kind of back to the grind. There's some stuff that is in the works right now that I can't talk about, but yeah, follow me, and I'll update as I can. Yeah.
Speaking of the follow me now, like, like there's a lot of Hallmark fans out there. I know they're going to tune into this interview. How can they find you on social media, keep up with you?
Yeah, it's my handle is on Twitter and Instagram are Mark Taras, half my first name, half my last name. So yeah, follow me, and yeah, the fan base, that's like you just mentioned, the fan base for Hallmark, they are hardcore, and they really are the best. Like they're so supportive and so kind of the actors who come through that world. So I'm really grateful of people who've kind of reached out over the years.
It's amazing. And I'm sure your DMs will be getting hit up after Saturday and Sunday also.
Yes. They usually do after these Hallmark things. So yeah, I can't respond to all of them, but I do my best.
That's again, thank you. Thank you for giving me a few minutes today. This was a great chat. And like you said, let's get you back on for future projects. Then hopefully your special project you're working on.
Awesome. Thanks, Elias. Thank you.
Thank you.